Yeah, so today in this video, we will cover all the primary fields which are there in the module. So we'll start with that. So yeah, we'll go with the first component, which is text field. So this is pretty simple. Like from the name itself, we can say the text field is something where which would be used to enter, to capture any uh, string or whatever the input data we want to enter, right? So here, if you drag and drop the component, this is what the look and feel of this component would be. So here we would be having the property ID. So by default, Unqork suggests the property ID, but we can enter our own property ID also, which we should add. So yeah, this is the property ID we'll add. Maybe if I want to capture the first name, I will enter the property ID as first name. And if you observe here, it is also like giving us the tooltip, like this component's unique property ID should not include numbers and use camel case. So yeah, basically we should not enter any number in the property ID, and the format of this text which we will enter here as a property ID should be in the camel case. So if I'm using the two words here, which is like first and name, so the first word would be all in the lower case, and the second word which is getting started should start with the capital case. So this is what we called it as a camel case. So this is something which should be followed overall, like whenever we are defining the property ID. And here we have the label text. So here we can enter the label text as first name, as I wanted to capture this. So here I will just write tooltip. Here I will write tooltip, tooltip, and here I will write the helper text. I think it was showing us, okay, this is helper text. And here I will write the placeholder. And here maybe I can write some prefix as some symbol and maybe .com as something .com. Maybe we'll see the suffix later, but just wanted to show you like when we enter the uh, data here in this particular text boxes, tooltip, helper text, and placeholder, we'll see how it reflects on the screen. So we'll just see this first. We'll just save and close. And if you see, like we have entered the label, which is appearing here as first name. We had entered the placeholder as well. We had entered the suffix as well. Sorry, prefix as well, which was dollar. So it is coming like this. And if you save this and if you preview this, let me preview this. Okay, so this is the preview. So whatever the content we had put in the helper text box, that is coming here. And here we can enter whatever the name we want to put. So this is how it works. And here, if you see, this is called as tooltip. So whatever the content we have put there, it will appear here as a tooltip. So we can put the information, whatever in this case, it is not relevant. But yeah, if there is something where we want to add a tooltip, we can add that accordingly. So this was the few things about the text component where we can see, and here is like suffix we can have. I will just add the suffix as .com to show you how it reflects. So again, like this dot, just like a prefix, we have added dollar. So this can be, we can add a suffix as well. So that would come here in this way. And same will be rendered on the screen when we review this. So if you see, like first time I clicked on the preview and this is what the module was showing, but we don't need to every time click on this preview button to see that. We can just refresh that other page which is already open and it will render the recent changes that whatever we have put on the component. And here we have the other pieces also. So here we have a default state options. So here we have a hide label. So if you want to hide the label, this is what we can do. We can toggle on this button. If we want to disable the user input, we can toggle on this button. And then if we want to just have a read-only view for that particular piece, so this is also we can do. We can toggle on this button. And if we want to hide the field, okay, so this let me just show you this disable user input. So if I like save this and I will just refresh this page. So here if you see we are not able to enter any text inside this as we have disabled that user input. from this toggle button. And likewise, we can have a read only view also. So this is pretty same for all the components, all the properties of whatever the components we can change. Those are pretty similar. Here and there, like it might change, but mostly those are same. So this will is pretty simple. Like there is no specific logic or no thinking is required, right? It is pretty self-explanatory, and we can get this right. Here, Unqork also suggests like what is that exact use of this button. So we can just quickly click hover over this tooltip, and we can get that information and what is the usage of that. And likewise, we have had helper text as well. So maybe you guys can try this. So I will not show you this because it is pretty simple. And here is like input mask. So what is this? Let me see. Like this is something new features which are added. So if we are adding, yeah, so this is like use input mask. So if we want to have a input mask, so if we want to use the text field, which is used to capture any phone number, let's suppose. Usually you would be having a different number, but if you want to use that, we can put input mask here. Just like a placeholder here, we can put the input mask, and we can click on this button, which is like format data with mask. So here, like if we put that, then it retains the data with the mask formatting in the data. So if we are putting this kind of thing, so whatever we will enter, that will be formatted into this way. So this is pretty, you can try from your side, like how it works. So this is like different UI things we can try around with this new component. And again, here we have a disable browser autofill. So this is something like you might have seen. Uh, the things are stored in the browser cookies, and those get auto filled like when we are like clicking on that particular text box. So if you want to disable that, so you can toggle on this thing which is disable browser autofill. So that will not autofill the content into that text box. And here we have a data storage and database. So this is like we can make it on and off. So as of now, you can consider like if I am like toggling on this button, so this field is persistent. So whenever I'm like submitting this page, so we are going to see that when I'm saying like I want to submit this data, so what happens in the backend, we'll see that as we progress. But this is something you can just look like here we have a button. I will explain you in detail like what is this use and when we do that where this data would be stored. But as of now, you can consider like every component would be having one button, which is this, which is like store data in database, which we can toggle off and toggle on also with this. And then we have here as actions. So here also we haven't gone through this logical components and all those things, but here I will explain you that in later videos. But here just to give you a high level idea about this, so in the trigger we can put other components property id. So there are other logical component as well. So if you want to trigger any logical component, so you can keep that logical components property id here. So what it means is, so whenever you want to trigger that component or whatever the logic we want to trigger, after writing on that particular text field which we have created. So let's suppose I want to trigger any logic, okay, at a backend or on the screen when I'm writing the first name. So that logic's uh, property ID I will write here, and that logic would be triggered. So we will see that in later videos. But just give you an idea about how many options we have within the component. This is what we can do. And then we have a trigger on key press. So if we are pressing any, uh, if you are entering any key on that particular, I mean, if we are entering any text inside that text field component. So for each and every character we are entering, or to be precise, each and every time we are clicking a key by keeping our cursor in this text field, the component would be triggered, which would be mentioned here. So here is the tooltip also given, which says enter the property ID of component you want to trigger as an end user enters value in the express view. So here it is saying express view. So what is express view? Like this is the way, right? This is the express view. So whenever we preview our page, so this is what we call as express view. And whenever we do a configuration, like we are doing the configuration, right? So this is called as designer view. So whenever you will see here express view as a term, you can imagine like express view means preview of any module. And then here we have a validation, so it is pretty self-explanatory. So here it is required, so if we want to make this field as mandatory, we can toggle on this button, and after toggling on this button we can put any message here. So if we are not putting anything, even though this is mandatory, but if we are keeping that text field blank and then we are trying to submit, then whatever the message, customized message we want to display, that we can put here. And then we have here as additional validation options. So if we can set how many minimum length should be entered onto that screen, so that we can enter here. And likewise we can set here a customized error also, which should get triggered if that minimum length is not entered. So this is what we can do. And here we have a similar like minimum length, we have a max length, and the corresponding error message we can show. And here like there are a lot of features right within this, so we don't need to build or think from our side how to implement that logic. We can just play around with this configuration and try to make our configuration or component robust. If we want to show the maximum length countdown, we can toggle on this button. So let's suppose, let me give you some quick example. If I'm putting the max length as 10 and minimum as 2, and if I'm toggling on this button, so let's see how it works. So I'll quickly save this and we'll preview. So here if you see, we have a countdown or a character that we can enter here. This is coming here. So as I'm entering, let me just enter anything. So as I'm entering here the characters, this countdown is happening, and we can see how many characters we can put. So this is what we can do. So I think yeah, this is pretty easy in terms of execution. So we can just go through this configuration and see like how many things we can play around with this. So there are a lot many things, so you can just try around from your side as also. So here it says allow typing beyond max length, so this is currently toggled off. So here I'm trying to enter the characters beyond this length also, but it's not taking it because we have make this off. So if we want to allow maximum characters also, that means we can toggle on this button. I'll just quickly show you this. So we'll just refresh this. Yeah, so if I put, so even though we have entered more than that maximum count which we have configured, here it is allowing us, and here like whatever the default message which Unqork should throw is coming. So if you want to override this message, if you want our own message to be displayed at this point, then we can like do that configuration here in this max length error message. So as we haven't entered anything, Unqork is like default uh, showing the message. And then we have a regular expression pattern. So you guys must be knowing the regular expressions, right? So if you want to allow only the capital letters to be entered into this text field, and if other than that any characters are entered, then we want to throw an error. So we can set up the regular expression also here. So we will see that in next videos how we can set up the regular expression here, and then what is the corresponding error that we want to throw if that regular, I mean whatever the regular expression is not met, so that we can put here. And here we can add our custom CSS class. So I will show you this example also. Like we can create a class, CSS class, and if you want to apply that class to this particular text field component, then we need to mention that class here. Uh, and our component would render according to that class properties which we have mentioned. So here it gives like unique CSS class that lets the creator specifically style this element. So this is something with styling you can do. And yeah, I think we have covered everything with this. And here we have a shortcuts. It is like giving us the shortcuts, what we can use. I mean, what we can use while this model is open. And here we have a documentation also. So if I go click on this documentation, it will like open the documentation of Unqork for this text field component. So this is something pretty good, right? You can uh, read more information about this and try to get how many things we can do. So this is the option we have here. And yeah, if you want to capture the nodes here, so if you want to add any comment, like this is first name, right? So if you want to add the comment for, or maybe like in normal code, right? We comment above our code, like what is this code for? Or maybe for any HTML script, we write a command, right? This is something, this would do that, or this would be used for this purpose. So like that, we can do a comment. Here we can add, this is the comment. So it will appear here. So if you hover over this, it will like show us that comment. Okay. So this is not visible on the express view. So even if you refresh this page, this is only for like development purpose. So other developer can take a look and see that comment which is given to this component, but this won't be rendered on the screen. So we don't need to bother about that. And I think yeah, most of the things, important things that are there in this, so that we have covered. But yeah, other things you can explore from your side, and you can refer this documentation also. And yeah, I think if any queries, we can just add a comment on this video, and we can try to, I will try to answer that in that comment itself. So I think yeah, you can explore this from your side as well. And let's go to the next component. So here we have a text area. So yeah, I think we have covered one component, right, which is text field. So for other components also, the other these things would be pretty much similar. So here I think if you see, the look and feel is pretty similar, uh, with like the text field. And here we have a formatting. So here we have a set input height, which is 3. So what is this text area? It will give us a larger space to enter the area here. So if there is like requirement to add an area where a user can add his address manually or add his comment, then we can use a text area component where we have a larger space, right, to enter our stuff. And here if you saw, like we were having this set input height, so it is like defaulted to 3 lines, but yeah, we can increase that lines to whatever number we want, and accordingly this would render, I mean that space will increase according to a requirement. So I have put 7 there. So if you see now after refresh, this area would be little bit wider, or maybe the height would be little bit more compared to the previous one. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. And then we have the similar features like browser, autofill, and other things, triggers, validation, and regular expression. So pretty much all the things are same. So you can explore that also. And then we have a checkbox also. So let's go to the checkbox component. Here we have a checkbox component. So yeah, you might have used checkbox in sort of the applications. Checkbox are there. So you might have used that already. So this is what the checkbox component is. So again, like here again, this checkbox property ID would be given by default. So we need to enter our own. So let's suppose this checkbox is something uh, used to select the number of sports that you play. Okay, let's suppose if I write checkbox sports. So I will write here the camel case and checkbox sports. So the property ID should be in camel case, and the naming should be more relevant to the operation that this checkbox is doing. So as I said, like I want a checkbox which should capture the number of sports we play. So that is why I can write here the checkbox sports as the property ID, and here the label I can write enter select the sports as applicable. I'm just writing anything here. Just to write label. Okay. So this is what I have written. And again, like here, this is pretty simple. Like these are again the similar way. We can hide the field if we want, and we can disable the user input by this toggle buttons. And here we have tooltip, helper text. So these are pretty similar that we have seen. And here we have a number of columns. So it is like one column here. And then here we have data source. Yeah, so here we have these options. Uh, yeah, we can select the number of columns here, and here we have a data. So what data should appear in that checkbox that we can put here. So maybe I will write here some values. Cricket. So if you write here, the value would automatically populate here. So this is option label, right? So this is something which would be seen on the express view. And if anyone selects this option, which is cricket, then whatever the value, it should get stored at a backend that we need to enter here. So automatically, if we enter cricket, then it appears automatically here. But if we want to modify this, we can modify this value also. So this is the value which would be like stored in the backend. If we select the option as cricket from this checkbox options, okay, and then here I can write football, and then I can write here some baseball. So yeah, I can write whatever how many I mean whatever things we want to put here. So this is like something we are hard coding the values inside it, and here we have a data reference key. So if you want to dynamically uh, pass those values, so this is what we can use. So we'll cover this as we progress, but this is something I'm showing the basic of this as of now. In the upcoming videos, we'll see in detail. Yeah, so here we can see like here we have this option as selection to trigger a component. So here, like if we want some option here, so I will just add this maybe other and other. So, and here I will give that property ID. So I will just show you what happens if we toggle on this and we configure in this way. If I save this, then automatically we will be given the option which is other, as you see. So this other is something which I haven't entered, but as that configuration I have done, so accordingly we can see that other option also. So we can put that. So if Unqork is something which will do that at a backend, which will add this option automatically here, which is called as other. So here, if you see, we have this things, right? So selection trigger a component. So here, if we toggle on this, then here we can set that property IDs and all those things. And here we have a selection to uncheck all options. So if I toggle on this button, and here I will toggle on this also. So let me show you this. If I save this and refresh, then I can select all also with that button. Okay. So select all button comes automatically, and if I like none of the above, if I select, then all others are like something freeze, and this is like all are unchecked basically, and those are freeze, so we are not able to add anything. And also if you see, like if I am selecting this option as other, so if you see this text area is appearing, right? So what configuration we have done is, so let's suppose in case of selecting the other component, right? Where it was, yeah. So here what we have seen is we have selected this choose exiting as text field area. So what it means is, so if I select this option, which is other, is that other option? Yeah, which is this other option. So if I want to populate any text area or anything, like not only text area, but if I want to display any other component based on this selection, which is other. So as I have selected the property ID here as text area field, so as soon as I'm clicking on this other checkbox, this is coming, and here we can enter all the things. So this is something which is showing and hiding this particular text area based on this checkbox selection. So this is what we can do with this option. Okay, and yeah, the select all and all those things we already saw. And here, if you see this select all, which comes by default, if you want to change the label, here is the thing, we can change that label also. And these things we'll see in later videos as we progress, because I don't want to make this pretty difficult at the start itself. So basically, we're going to cover some things, which is something by that you guys can get started and gain some confidence, right, with these components. and there are other things that we'll see as we progress and as we will build the final application at last. So this is what I am showing you. And again, like here we have action where we have a trigger buttons, uh, which should have any component if you want to trigger based on the action on this checkbox. This is what we can do. And then here we have a required error message. So again, this is pretty simple or similar what we have seen in the text field. And this is also similar to the text field component where we have a capability to add the CSS component. So yeah, this is what we have covered today in this video. So in the next video, we'll see the other things also, which is multi-select drop-down radio buttons and other components which are listed out in the primary fields. So yeah, do comment uh, out in this video, like anything you want to uh, suggest, or maybe anything you want to add, or any questions do you have. Please comment on this video. So accordingly, I can uh, make those changes in the upcoming videos, which I'm planning to do. And yeah, please keep me posted if you are like getting this and you have already started working with Unqork. So yeah, see you in the next video. Thank you guys.